that we look at our past mistakes and we look at how there seems to be a never-ending pattern of trying and failing, trying and failing, trying and failing. And also, like, there's hope in this despair as well. We look to examples, people like Robert Downey Jr., who was considered uninsurable, unhirable in Hollywood. And then he received some mentorship and became Iron Man. And people, including myself, like to say, oh, but that's different. He got lucky. He had all these opportunities. All these things that we like to tell ourselves that, like, it worked for them, but not for me. But in the end of the day, the things that make me feel like I am unhirable are the very things that make me a valuable asset to the world and to the entertainment industry. That my messy, checkered past, that isn't even that quite messy, to be honest. I avoided some severe mistakes. I made mistakes, but I didn't make continual efforts. I've made continual efforts to change and to learn and to grow. I worked through my demons and I faced the realities of gender transition, knowing that I'd probably ruin my reputation, but I was more worried about becoming a terrible person. I was more worried about ruining the lives of those around me, and including my own. And so, like, any kind of external effect that being trans has made me is not a liability, it is an asset. Especially when the industry is continuing to look for more diverse cast of human experience. That I am not defined by my past. I am also not a cookie cutter demographic, DEI hire or whatever. My past made me who I am today. And nobody else can be me. Nobody else can channel that into creating. What's up, guys? Your face is so Kevin, VRO. Did you take any drugs? Hey, Gijai. Hey, Devin. Hey, Yitfaz. Hey, Braden. I've just been feeling extremely deterred by the situation I've been in. The situation I've been attempting to get myself out of. The past mistakes I've made. Or the perceived past mistakes. Sometimes I don't really know which ones are mistakes and which are just me being human. Subao. But I mean, there have been people who have gone through prison sentences, multiple relapses into drug addiction, violent criminal behavior sometimes, and have made comebacks. And yeah, it's obviously never going to be the same, but we're never the same no matter who we are and no matter what we go through. And I feel like people really latch on to this idea that people are human and what makes us who we are the choices we make moving forward. And I'm doing my best right now to make good choices now. I have difficulty finding words and I have a tired face. Well, because I'm tired. And because I have difficulty finding words because I'm I'm still holding on to trying to say things in a way that won't confuse people and that will express what I'm trying to say in a way that people will be able to interpret. Because if I just kind of start speaking, people don't really understand what I'm saying. I have a really difficult time with that. I feel like my life is over. But I know it's not true, and people tell me it's not true, and I've been experiencing advocacy fatigue. I've been having trouble developing, content creation because of my living situation and lack of support. And I don't like making excuses, and that makes it worse. Because it's like, why am I not doing better? There are people who have been in poverty and other situations who have been able to make a better studio environment, who've been able to figure out lighting and camera angles. And for some reason, I just can't seem to do it right. This studio setup is just not seeming to work for me, and I'm just going to try to make do with what I have. Yeah, I mean, I have past mistakes, and I've already dealt with them, or I've been trying to deal with them in therapy, and it's just, it feels like I'm continually facing my past, even though objectively, nothing that's happening to me right now is based on any kind of past actions. It's based on my current inability to move forward. Yeah, I'm ready for my next chapter. And so looking for paths forward can sometimes feel impossible. But I know that that I am centered in an identity of finding ways to move forward, finding ways to redeem myself, finding ways to move through the trauma, and finding ways to make better choices today rather than blaming myself for past mistakes. Because I've made a lot of past mistakes, some of them very publicly. And everybody out there has something they don't want to share with the world. I'm not unique. I think, I have a willingness to accept responsibility that I think is an asset in this world where there's a lot of people who will do whatever they can to maintain a fake persona. And I think people realize that more than I realize. Like, there's people in my life today who know every single mistake I've made and still support me. Yeah, I'm doing my best to overcome them. I work every day to try to overcome them. I immerse myself in journaling. I've been developing morning routines that facilitate behavioral activation, such as, not just journaling, but moving past journaling and into structured writing routines, where I've been working consistently now, or pretty consistently, on drafting scenes for my novel in order to build drafting scenes for an outline so that I can then have a finished product that I can then expand into my novel. Right now I'm focused on the outline portion of it. I'm trying to break things down into manageable bite-sized chunks rather than trying to take the whole thing. Because for the longest time, I've been focused on trying to just write the novel. Just showing up and just start writing, but then I end up losing focus and I end up losing motivation. And when motivation is your key decision or is your key drive, it's going to fail. Because motivation is going to falter. It's not if, it's when. And so instead I kind of took a step back for a while, and I am starting to now build systems. I am building habits, small habits, like sitting down to write what happened previously in the last scene, and then writing a draft for some kind of prose narrative that will be used for the creation of my outline, that moves the scene forward and gives the key points that I want to deliver in that scene. Not just the facts, but like the actual, like basically a blueprint, like a kind of zoomed out version of the story, but like maintaining the dialogue and like not necessarily exactly what's going to end up in the final product, but more the kind of, beats that I want to be hitting. And all the stuff that will come later is going to be rewritten knowing the full story from like a bird's eye view of like the full story laid out in a blueprint. Yeah, I mean, true, Devin. But I care about my friends, even though they're not equipped to help me. I see friendship as something much deeper than what they can do for you. I know that that's probably not what you're trying to say, but I think that most people underestimate my capacity for love. And sometimes it hurts me because I will extend love to people that hurt me, actively hurt me. And that's bad. But I do have friends. They're just kind of involved in their own lives and they have other things going on. They don't really know how to help me, but they're not responsible for me. I am. I have to lift myself up. I can't expect other people to stop everything they're doing to take care of me. I find myself always, texting them and asking them for help, and I'm just overwhelming them, and they don't know how to respond. And that's my fault. I'm asking for help, and they're not equipped to help. And so it's really unfair of me to expect them to drop everything they're doing to mentor me. I need to find a mentor. And I don't really know how to do that, but I'm going to keep trying. It started with taking an acting class. I met total strangers who were there for me, who understood me, because they're actors. They've been doing this for most of their lives. The people I met, most of them anyway. And that I felt a connection that I had never felt before, even in music, because I've been a musician my whole life. And I connected with musicians, but I always felt there was something different about me. That I was trying to get something deeper that music couldn't really scratch. And I was unable to be authentic growing up. Like, after going through my transition, I kind of understand that I was living half a life. I was half of an identity. How would I possibly explore what truly mattered to me if I wasn't even fully into my identity? Like if I had to go through multiple surgeries to like get to where I am now. And now I'm finding that like there are things that I was unable to explore growing up, at least unable to fully explore. Things like dance, like ballet. I always considered that to be something that I couldn't do because of my gender. And part of it is that like, overcoming gender stereotypes is one part of it. But like, there was a whole bunch of evidence that was like, okay, it's not just that. It's also gender identity. And so that's what happened when I was around 18, and it took a whole 18 years for me to finally get to where I am now. And then it took 13 years and then 5 years of surgeries, and now it's been 14 months since the surgery. And now I'm only just now starting to scratch the surface to who I really am at 37 years old. And there's been people who didn't start their acting career or their modeling career until their late 30s and 40s, just like me. think Samuel L. Jackson. Wait, is it Samuel L. Jackson or Samuel Jackson? Samuel Jackson didn't start like acting until he was like 40. You know, like there have been extremely successful models who didn't start until they were 60. And I'm kind of I kind of have a lot of potential in me to be mentored and to be trained. I'm not very good at training myself. That's kind of the problem. Is like I can't really, like, I can try, and I am trying. So that's better than not trying at all. But I really want to seek mentorship. I need somebody to like really work with me and like train me on like, you know, on like a micro level, like going through an acting role or a modeling, you know, opportunity. Like, I need to learn by doing. And that's hard when opportunities are so seemingly impossible to get. I don't really know how to advocate for myself. I asked people for help, and now I'm starting the process of, I don't even know if I should talk about this because I haven't gotten a response yet, so maybe I can. But I started the process of legal advocacy from disability rights groups, because the people that said they were going to help me at North Bay Regional Center have spent a whole year, and I've been completely on my own. And the people that they did send to help me ended up quitting because I was, quote unquote, too much. When somebody built me up like that and then left me stranded to my own devices, which is something that I could have done without their help. Like, I reached out for help. I reached out for advocacy. I reached out for mentorship. And yet I have to ask AI assistance for basic help. Why do I should not be, I mean, AI is a great tool. I love like how I'm learning how to use AI as a tool, but it's just a tool. It's not a replacement for human advocacy. It's not a replacement for human mentorship. Things that I asked for and that I was promised and that I qualify for that have been denied to me for a whole year now, with nothing but excuse after excuse after excuse from the people whose job it is to help me. So I don't know what to do anymore but send letters to legal advocates, disability rights lawyers, because I have a permanent disability. I'm receiving SSI. I need assistance. I need housing, first and foremost. And I need mentorship for my career development, for job skills, for personal skills, for social skills. Things that I am not receiving an entire year after being promised, after having all my hopes lifted up, making me smile, promising me all these things, and then just ghosting me. Something is going wrong. And I don't like that I have to complain, because I tried to take accountability. I tried to not be the complainer, because I know how much people don't like people who complain. People are called Karens. But like, if you reach out to a government agency that is supposed to be helping people with developmental disorders, North Bay Regional Center, and they do nothing for an entire year and allow me to crash and burn while I'm attempting to repair my life, where I go out into the world without any mentorship whatsoever, trying to advocate for myself because the people who said they were going to advocate for me are nowhere to be found, and I go out there and I end up getting to the point of burning bridges with social encounters, risking my safety by meeting people without any guidance whatsoever, trying to build my career, by ending up in a mental hospital for 12 days because I feel completely backed into a wall and I feel like I'm on my own when I've been promised help from people that claim to help developmentally disordered people. I don't know what to do anymore but complain to a lawyer. And I can only hope that they do something about this. Because I found out that there is the Lanterman Act. And the Lanterman Act requires them to provide me with emergency housing when I am in an unfit situation, which is exactly what's going on. I've showed them pictures, I've shown them videos of my house, of my living situation, of my dad. One of the workers that was assigned to me, the one that quit, had been inside my house and seen the conditions I've been living in. And there's a reason why he wore a face mask when he went into the house. Because there's mold in the house. And I've been beating myself up over my quote-unquote inability to clean the house and to get my life to where it needs to be, when I have been operating on empty. I have a developmental disorder. It's a miracle I've even gotten to where I am today. I am strong. I am resilient. I am capable. But I need mentorship, which is what I asked for. And it's literally like it was my last hope that this agency that had an entire website dedicated to explaining that they help developmentally disabled people have gainful employment, safe housing with mentorship and guidance and support. And I have received zero of that. In fact, the only thing they did for me that actually resulted in actual things happening to improve my life was they got somebody that they called the Tooth Fairy to advocate for me to getting my wisdom teeth removed. That's like the only thing that they really did for me. Yeah, I mean, I need a new life. I need a new beginning, and it's starting to look like it might be happening. But I've had to pound my fist on the table and cry and complain for an entire year, and I still don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm ready to leave this life because I've already gotten my surgeries. There's literally nothing holding me back anymore. There are places where I would be accepted. There are places where I'd be guided and have mentorship, real support, real friendship. You know, I really deeply love my friends. I see them as family. But they are not equipped to help me in the ways that I need to be helped. And I think it would be unfair of me to expect that from them. I'm not going to judge them for their inability to work miracles. I don't like going in circles. Every time I sit down with my pen and paper to write down what I need to do next, or every time I sit down here to talk to my stream, I end up going through the same exact things I've already said a million times. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of everything stuck in a loop and further burying me in a sea of guilt and despair. And I don't want to ruin my reputation. I don't want to be seen as that person who's always complaining, who's always crying, who's always having a trauma dump. I don't want to be that person. That's not who I am. But I'm stuck in this situation when I've asked for help. And I feel like I'm just going in circles now. And I don't know how to move past it, Devin. I don't. I have sought ways. I have typed and typed and typed and typed tens of thousands of words, hundreds of thousands of words, trying to make sense of this and trying to pave my way out of this. And I have reached out to as many people as I can. I've reached out to the entire internet. I don't know what to do anymore. Except for just, I guess I just have to keep trying because I'm not going to give up because I want to live and I want to thrive. I don't want to just survive. There's so much potential. I have so many innate qualities about me that I nurture. I have a strength to me. I have a resilience to me. I have a deep focus, a deep, autism-related superpower to hyper-focus on something in order to get better at it. With the proper mentorship, I could be a Hollywood actress. Who knows? I don't know. Anything's possible. I could definitely be a porn star, which is what I want. And then I'm going to face even more, may as well dive into the public backlash. Coming out as a trans person was already, kind of like ripped off the Band-Aid a long time ago over worrying about what people are going to think about you. May as well lean into it, because people do not like sex workers in the industry, apparently. Or they do, but they don't want to, they want to put people in boxes. I want to be unboxed. I want to break barriers. I want to smash glass ceilings. It's like I go in from one problem, I solve it, but then I go into another problem willingly. That's who I am. And that's a strength. Because most people would want to play it the easy route. Never take any risks. Always try to tiptoe around situations. Those people, they might succeed, but rarely do they ever break ceilings. I feel like I need to just give up on this idea that I can play it safe, quote unquote. Maybe I should just lean into my human nature. Maybe I should lean into the imperfection. I mean, look at Robert Downey Jr. Considered unhireable. He's fucking Iron Man. Jesus Christ. Tim Allen. He was arrested for cocaine trafficking. He served time in prison. Then he went on to be a lovable comedian. Everybody has their haters or whatever, but everybody's different. Not everybody's gonna like you. Yeah, I mean, right now I have hardships and I've made human mistakes. It doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me human. And I'm just having a hard time moving forward when I'm still stuck in this situation. And I don't know what to do anymore, because for the last year and 2 months since the surgery, I kind of had a little bit of a leeway with myself. And now I'm starting to feel like, come on, let's get on with the program, Rebecca. Why are you still lazy? You don't have an excuse anymore. It's been over a year since the surgery. Why are you still lazy? I'm not lazy. A lazy person would not have been able to get that surgery. A lazy person would not have however many thousands of hours I have logged into Twitch and YouTube. A lazy person would not be advocating for herself by going out into government agencies and continuing to advocate despite continual lack of progress. If I was lazy, I would have just given up and just not even try anymore, which is just not possible. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not my dad. My dad is delusional. Yesterday he was saying he was sick, and I'm like, you're taking blood pressure medication and you're drinking every single day. And you're taking I think 8 different medications, or 13 different medications, and they're all blood thinning and blood pressure medications, which literally says it's the worst thing you could do is take alcohol with those, and then he just drinks every day. And he's wondering why he's blacking out. He's wondering why he's waking up with his heart racing. He's wondering why he's waking with shakes. I'm like, dude, everyone knows what's going on but you. You won't accept it. And I thought I was done caring. I told him that me and him are done, a year ago, because when he didn't show up for the one time I needed him, I needed him to be sober through the very critical, like, several, like, at least 1 or 2 weeks after the surgery. And he started drinking the week of my surgery, before the surgery happened. I'm like, are you serious? I spent 18 years working to this single event, and you can't take time away from the bottle because you're the only person in my life, the only person in my family, the only person in my friend group who can take time off of work to give me a place to recover from the most important event of my entire life as in 37 years on this earth that I had worked for the past 5 years at that point, to get to a specific singular goal of getting that surgery. And all I needed was a place to recover from the surgery for like a month, or at least a couple of weeks, which were the critical points. And he couldn't even be bothered to refill my water bottle when I was in my room recovering from surgery with a freaking Foley bag. And I had to get up and walk around anyway. I recovered on my own. He barely did anything. He was just here drinking. I didn't want to tell my doctors that because I didn't want them to take the surgery away from me. I was so terrified that they were going to take that surgery away from me. I was just like, I'm just glad it's all over. Yeah, my dad is kind of a lost cause, and I thought that I stopped caring, but yesterday I was like, I had to like, I Googled, like, I used Perplexity, an AI tool, to just search for like interactions between alcohol and blood pressure medicines, and I listed all of the actual bodily side effects. Because he keeps convincing himself and telling everybody, including his employer, oh, I can't come into work today because I'm sick today. You made yourself sick, buddy. Everybody knows this. Every single person in your life tried to help him, including me, and I'm the only person who's still getting upset about it, who's still trying to help him. And he still won't change. And I need to stop expecting him to change, but it's gotten to the point where I'm living in this situation and I can't escape from him. And the only solution seems to be I have to get my dad to go to rehab or my life won't get better. I've gotten into this impossible scenario where I have to cure my dad of alcoholism in order to make my life better. And it's destroying me because he's not going to change. He hates himself for many reasons I don't want to get into. I don't want to like destroy my dad here on stream. I've already felt like I've said enough about him publicly already. Yeah, well, thanks, Devin. Yeah, and hi, life. Self-control's hard, though. Because it's like, I don't like getting into this way I am right now, where I start just like, it feels like I'm making excuses. It feels like I'm blaming other people. It feels like I'm just mad at everybody. It feels bitter. I don't like it. And then I feel like I go down this slippery slope where I start yelling and I start burning bridges with people. I start saying things that I can't take back. And I don't know how to stop. Because if I stay off of social media, if I don't do these live streams, the problem just gets worse. Because I'm worried about going live. Because I'm like, well, I can't go live until I am in a better living situation. I can't pursue my career until I'm in a better living situation. And then what happens is I just get worse. Because I'm avoiding facing the problem. And I'm trying to wait on some magical solution that might never come by people who promise to help me that might never come, at least without heavy legal intervention. And I only hope that somebody gets my email. I sent an email to multiple lawyers, disability rights California advocacy, because I was, what's happening to me is not how the system is supposed to work. But I've been gaslit by my case manager that things don't happen overnight, and this is a difficult problem to solve, and just kind of like led along and just told to wait and be completely left in the dark. When it's been an entire year, this is unacceptable. Like, it'd be one thing if I was getting advocacy and then I was screwing it up. I'm not screwing things up, I'm just not getting helped. I need mentorship. I need guidance. I need specialized professional help. I'm developmentally disordered. I have a permanent disability. It's not just because of autism, it's also because of environmental factors and because of other unique factors that are, have been investigated and documented by doctors for years. And that's why I got access to these services in the first place. That's why I'm getting SSI in the first place. It's because it's been documented. But it's like I am doing pretty well. Like, I do avoid, every time I start, scrolling on my phone, I always feel like as soon as I start scrolling, I'm already in a mindset of I need to put the phone down as soon as possible. Like, I catch myself, and every time I pick up my phone to scroll, I always feel like I'm holding a hot potato. I try to treat it as like it's like a debuff and it's draining my HP, and I put it away and I just kind of sit in like silence. Sometimes just sitting and doing nothing and just being alone with your thoughts is like a really healthy thing to do, and do like a dopamine kind of detox or dopamine fast. I've been playing solitaire, like Free Cell, with real cards. That's good for my brain. And it's a low intensity, like kind of dopamine, like it's a small dopamine activity, but it is proven to have cognitive benefits and benefits for people who struggle with executive dysfunction. I use it as a behavioral activator. Like I play a game of Free Cell before I start writing for my novel. Every single day I wake up, I get up as soon as my 8 a.m. alarm goes off. I literally rise up out of bed, even though I don't really know if there's a point to it. I do it anyway. I get immediately out of bed. I turn off the alarm. I go make my coffee, because at that point I've already been up for like an hour or two. I specifically make a point of not getting up before the alarm, if at all possible. Sometimes I get so restless that I just have to get up and do stuff. But I'm trying my best to not activate myself until my alarm goes off. I set the alarm with intention that at 8 a.m., that's when I activate my morning. That's when I make my coffee. That's when I make my breakfast. That's when I go outside to do a little bit of physical activity, like throwing a basketball in the air and doing squats, to get my blood pumping in the morning, to get a little bit of sunshine in my eyes first thing in the morning, immediately after my alarm goes off. Then as my coffee is brewing, I set up the game of solitaire. I deal the hand of Free Cell, and I play through the game of Free Cell. I try to win. I'm not really good at it just yet, but it's not even about that. It's a practicing of the skill itself. That is the benefit of trying to solve the game, connecting the suits, connecting the alternating colors, organizing things in your brain. Like, it activates neurons. It activates mental activity. It activates cognition and like working memory, executive function, problem solving, in a way that's a solo activity. That's like, I don't need a computer to do it. I don't need internet access or anything like that. It's not a competitive game like chess, which develops like similar neural pathways, but it's a little different because there's like more emotion involved in it because it's competitive. There's something about that where it's like, it's a deeper kind of strategy in problem solving. Free cell, like solitaire games, are kind of like a more lightweight problem solving. And so like doing that, and then as soon as I finish that, I pull up my notebook to journal, or I pull up my free write. I usually pull up my free write to work on my novel because it's just something about the typing makes me feel like more productive. Makes me feel like I'm going forward faster. Because I feel like I need to just move the story forward right now. Because for the past 10 years, this story, which has been completely reworked, now it's being reworked a second time. Well, it's been reworked like 4 times. Yeah, this is the 4th time, I think, that it's been reworked. I've reworked this story over the course of 10 years. I wrote a first draft, and there's a whole bunch of space in between the second act and the climax. I have no idea what to do in Act 2 and most of Act 3. I know how it ends. And it hasn't really changed at all in the past 10 years. Like, the ending is pretty much has always been the same ending I envisioned. The only thing that'll change the ending are the specifics that lead up to it. And then it'll take a different form because of the new specifics. But mostly it is the same fundamental ending. I have written the ending. I have written most of the first act. In fact, the first act is the most developed, because I've rewritten the first act like 3 times now. And instead of going back to rewrite it, I am making a point, and Brandon Sanderson has talked about this many times, is that it's really important that you finish the story. That you don't go back to work on the stuff you've written before. You just move the story forward in as imperfect as a way you possibly can. It just needs to be finished. And that's what I've been doing lately. And I need to kind of like cut myself some slack because I'm dealing with chronic stress, chronic toxic living situation, toxic, like constant advocacy fatigue. And I'm still doing this. So like, I think I need to cut myself some slack. But even if I write 1 scene a week, 1 bullet point, that's still 1 bullet point further towards moving through into the second act. And I don't really know what else to say, but I kind of needed to talk about this for a while, and I mean today, and I don't really know what else to do sometimes but go live and just kind of talk about what I'm thinking, because I don't really know how to process it and move forward if I don't. But you know, like, if I can teach anything to the world, is that if you set your foot down and you do everything possible to never stop trying, you will get something to move your life forward. You will reach goals. And my next goal now is to just fix these problems, and I'm gonna get there somehow. If it requires working with a lawyer to make sure that I am not ignored by a system that is fundamentally broken, then that's what I'm going to have to do. And I'm just going to have to be patient, because they're out of the office. It's Sunday, and they might even be, I think they're out of the office until like for the next week or 2. So, I mean, I'm going to have to just kind of bear with it and just like hope that something works out, because they're legally required to help me, and they're not. And I'm going to get louder and louder and louder. And if the lawyers can't help me, I will go on a social media campaign to expose these people for ignoring me, because somebody is breaking the law. And I don't want my life to suffer because of somebody else's inability to take action. Like, that's not going to happen. I really don't want it to go to that place. I don't want to be known as a Karen. I don't want that. But I don't know what else to do, because I've been trying to look for mentorship. I've been trying to look for advocacy, and I'm just not getting it. Yeah, but you know, hang in there. And my acting teacher told me that I have a level of resilience and a quote-unquote stick-to-itiveness that more than anything else will lead me to a successful life and a successful career. And this is a man who he was a professional circus clown. Like, I've seen some of his work, like he had like some very, like, I mean, clowns get a really bad rep. Like, it's an extreme level of performance that circus clowns have to go through. I don't even know, like, even 1/100th of what he's done. But like, I saw some of his, like, professional photos. He had this every clown had like their own special makeup, and like he had like this like lion's mane, and he looked absolutely like amazing. And just like working with him, as one of his students in an introductory college acting class, I could already tell, like, he has background in like Shakespeare acting. Like, this is somebody who has gone through the ringer in a world that does not want you to succeed. Somebody who like picked himself up and went through the ringer, literally. Like, went through the circus. Like, that's a tough industry. Okay? Like they don't just accept anybody. And then they get kind of like ridiculed by the public. So it's like, like not seen as like real entertainers sometimes. So I mean, I'm sure he's faced ridicule for being a professional clown. So I mean, this is somebody who saw something in me. And I don't know exactly where it's going to lead me, but honestly, that doesn't matter. Because I am the product. I am the prize. I am the talent. You can put me in any role, any situation, with instructions and guidance, and I will figure it out. Because that's my strength. That's why people would hire me. And I just need to hold on to that. Anyway, stay safe, chat.